And blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Here we have some more pennies being donated as we move along here. There we have it. Thank you so much to everybody who has stopped by the Walmart. We're living here until Saturday at 6 o'clock, collecting pennies and other donations to the Boise Rescue Mission. So many of you have stopped by. We need more. We need thousands and millions of pennies to make a difference to fund summer programs for the Boise Rescue Mission. More details, KIDOTalkRadio.com, or donate anytime online, BoiseRM.org. Joined now by Lars Larson, the Lars Larson Show. Catch him tonight at 6. Lars, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Kevin?
You know, it's a little wet here. We've got Portland weather in the Treasure Valley, but we're fired up, ready to go. And certainly when we take a look at another week, the president laying down the gauntlet concerning the Iranians.
That's right. In fact, he said to them, don't threaten our country or you will end up being destroyed. And I think that's a reasonable thing to say. It's what you get out of a president who's got guts. A lot of presidents try to be very diplomatic. They never, they're never that blunt. I kind of like Donald Trump's bluntness, to be willing to say, if you threaten our country, that will be the end of it for you.
Well, very different from what they've, the appeasement of other presidents that have given the Iranians. And now we have the sanctions kicking in and the Iranians saying, well, we're all about peace, love, and understanding. America is being pushed into this. No, I think America is standing up. But, Lars, we go back to pre-1979 here. The Iranians have pushed us around since they took our hostages.
Yeah, it's funny because Friday night I had an interview with a gentleman, and he said, well, we haven't really, Iran hasn't threatened us. And I said, look, Iran's been threatening us since they took the hostages in 1979, and I don't think they've ever broken from that. They've always been antagonistic. And not just us. Remember, they've been identified by the world as the biggest state sponsor of terrorism on planet Earth. There is no other country that funds more terrorism, not just against the United States, but elsewhere, in the Middle East in particular, than Iran. And they have the kind of oil wealth to do it. And, of course, that big airplane full of money that Barack Obama sent them. I mean, it feels somewhat gratifying to say, I told you so, that in 2007 and 2008, when Senator Barack Obama was running for president, a lot of us, and I was one of them, said this guy is way too cozy with terrorists. Consider his history. William Ayers, his best buddy, is an American terrorist. He seemed, and then once he became president, he seemed far too cozy with the idea that the world of Islam was his choice, not Christians. And to the extent that a president can show favoritism toward one religion or another, he disparaged Christians for their beliefs, and yet he told Muslims, he said, the future does not belong to those who disparage or who do not treat kindly the name of Allah and of Muhammad. And I don't have the quote right in front of me, Kevin, but I can get it. He said it at the UN. And a lot of us at the time said, hold on a second. What do you mean? I said, can you imagine if George W. Bush had come out and said, the future does not belong to those who disparage the name of Jesus Christ? The left would have, its heads would have spun, the collective heads of the left in America, both media and politics, would have spun off, saying, you can't say that. Yet Obama said it, and they all nodded sagely and went, oh, yeah, right. And so he helped fund these guys. These guys have been, and they took the message during the second Gulf War, when we began to put troops in the Middle East, is the only time that Iran decided to take a break in its nuclear weapons development program. And remember, they weren't supposed to have a nuclear program at all, not for electric power, certainly not for weapons, and yet they managed to pull the wool over Obama's eyes. I think there was a certain amount of willingness on his part to believe it, that they weren't trying to get weapons. Of course they were trying to get weapons. I mean, here's this country that says we will destroy the big Satan, which is the United States, the way they refer to us, and the little Satan, which is Israel. Well, how are they going to do that? Well, with nuclear weapons. Are they trying to get nuclear weapons? And a lot of folks ran around for years saying, oh, no, they're not trying to get nuclear weapons, when the evidence was everywhere. And then finally, Obama cuts a deal where all he asks them to do is promise, cross their heart, and hope to die that they're not going to develop nuclear weapons. They said, fine, you got the promise. And he sent them an airplane full of money. in exchange for some hostages, and he freed their their oil wealth, took off some of the sanctions, and they were off to the races. And now people say, well, it's Donald Trump's fault that they're now developing nuclear weapons. Look, they've been on that track for 20 years, long before Donald Trump became a Republican, long before Donald Trump announced for president. The Iranians were going after nuclear weapons. And what do you suppose a country's going to do with nuclear weapons if it says to you, we will destroy you? Well, that's what they're going to do.
Our great friend Lars Larson joining us here, KIDO Talk Radio. Lars, final question is, we're here at the Walmart collecting money for the Boise Rescue Mission, but I've got to ask you this one. Mayor Pete or Joe Biden, which is the future of the Democratic Party?
I honestly think that it's probably Mayor Pete Buttigieg, which is disturbing. It's good for Republicans politically because the main, the main candidates of that party, Biden has the greatest name familiarity. He's been vice president. On paper, he's the best, most likely to win the nomination and go up against Donald Trump. But the rest of the party, from Elizabeth Warren to Kamala Harris to Pete Buttigieg, they're all pushing hard to the left, which is great. If they do that and pick a candidate who espouses those kinds of policies, this crazy Medicare for all policy, which is a bankrupter of America, if they push the Green New Deal, which would bankrupt the country, if they push let's stop using fossil fuels at a time when America has them in abundance, if they want to go that direction, go for it. I mean, they got 25 clowns on the Democrat Party clown bus, and they got to pick one of them. I would think that if they want to win, if they want the best chance to win against Donald Trump, they'd pick Joe Biden. Instead, they're likely, because so many of those candidates are pushing so hard to the left, they're more likely to pick somebody far to the left. And I don't know if Buttigieg is the guy or not. He had an initial splash when he first entered the race, but I think we're really only going to see it sort itself out once Biden is pushed out, except that Biden may be a lot like the Republican Party's Jeb Bush, ! Where he'll spend a ton of money, he'll spend his famous name, and he might actually eke out the nomination. But if he does, then all the folks who are far to the left and view Joe Biden as sort of Republican light, they're not going to be happy with it. And all the folks who would back Biden because he's sort of more sensible in a relative way, he's more sensible than some of the really far lefties. If they pick a far lefty as their nominee, then they disaffect all the moderate Democrats in the country as well. Their party is really split down the middle, whereas I think the Republicans are going to be united behind Trump. There were a lot of folks who were count the number of folks who were very skeptical of Trump or even anti-Trump when he first came in, and then they've seen what he's been able to accomplish. And at that point, you have to do a calculation and say, are you offended enough by his style and the crude and rude things he sometimes says to not like the results he produces? And I can tell you, Kevin, I think America is full of examples where you might not particularly like your attorney or your accountant or even the CFO of your company. But if he gets things done or she gets things done, you say, yeah, he's rude and crude or she's rude and crude, but boy, does she get things done. And I think Republicans care, and conservatives especially, care more about getting things done than the trappings.
Our great friend Lars Larson, always appreciate you, brother. Can't wait to hear what you have to say tonight. And you have a great day, sir.
And you as well, Kevin. And good luck out at the Walmart. Stay dry.
Thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate Lars Larson joining us right after Sean Hannity. Joined once again for Miller's Mission at the Napa Walmart, Garrity and Franklin. We're just kicking off. Lots of people stopping by, whether it's Eric, whether it's Roxanne, Mr. Bandit's mom, whether it's you, whether it's Larry Gebert, people giving the pennies to make a difference. We're rallying the Penny Patrol, and this just announced a week from Tuesday, we'll be at Cap-Ed Credit Union on Overland and Meridian for the Penny Plunge. That will be at 2:30 in the afternoon. Hopefully, we'll be swimming in pennies. Somebody that knows a lot about, plunging.
Actual pennies?
Yes.
That kind of hurts when you dive in, doesn't it?
Well,
they don't give as much as water.
We're going to tiptoe in, Larry.
Okay, good. Yeah, there you go. All right, well, that works.
You sound very excited about that.
Well, I just wanted to see what would happen if you dove in.
Well, you know something? If it gets us more donations, I will do that. Okay. Whatever it takes.
All right. From a high dive?
Reverend Bill joins us as well. He's always raising the bar, is he not?
Well, might as well, as long as you.
Larry is a unique individual, and we are so glad he's our friend because as much as he loves us, I'd hate to see what it'd be like if he didn't love us.
Well, it'd be weather like this.
It would be, day in and day
out. Why don't we complain to Larry about the weather? I know that never happens.
But I'm really not in charge of the weather now.
Now, Larry.
Keep in mind now, I think the Reverend shouldn't. I'm sure he knows that it's a higher authority who's in charge of the weather. Yep. And he probably has a better connection than I do.
Well, I don't know if I do or not, but let me tell you what happened. Now,
hold on. Let you tell us what happened. Yes, Reverend Bill.
Up to Saturday, it was raining continually. I had to move on Saturday. I had the moving van and the movers and the kids coming. And on Saturday, the sun came out and shined all day long.
It was beautiful.
And we got our move made in the sun.
Yeah.
So,
and
the Reverend has some pull.
Just for you, Reverend.
If that isn't a listener benefit, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to Mark and Eagle on KIDO Talk Radio. Mark, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, Mark.
Sorry about that. I had it on speakerphone waiting to get picked up. But anyway, I missed it again. I should have been on earlier when Dave Petzel was on. Did you see last week on the Drudge Report, there was a story, I think from Wall Street Journal, about 51% of Americans are living in one paycheck away from disaster, financial disaster, either dipping into any savings if they have any.
Well, that's why we're here, Mark, collecting money to help others.
Yeah. Well, we have the ripoff at the gas pumps. As you know now, we're now pretty much about $1 a gallon more than we were about 2.5 months ago. That's a 33% increase when the barrel's only gone up for a barrel of oil about 14%. You have the automakers like Ford that want to make only gas guzzling SUVs and trucks. I hate to say this. I know definitely Trump has done better for our economy than what Hillary would have ever done, but I think there's a lot of lies going on out there about how well our economy is doing. It's doing good, but it's doing good for certain sectors out there. And this is where I want to bring up property tax, because we're all going to be about ready to see our new property tax bills. And I think if you can get Mike Moyle on there, because I mentioned this to Mike last year in conversation with him over the phone, and he agreed with me. But, agreeing is one thing. Doing something about it in our legislature, we need to.
I will tell you. Mark, thank you for the call. Mike Moyle does listen to the program, and we do this. Mark's talking about the lack of affordable housing. Reverend Bill, would you care to expand on that?
Well, I couldn't hear what he said, but I will agree.
That's why I just gave it to you.
I appreciate that. You tossed it to me softly, too. So I will agree that we have a real problem. I would say we have a crisis in affordable housing here in the Treasure Valley right now. It's always been a little tough, not so much 17 years ago when I rolled into town, but it has progressively gotten tougher and tougher and tougher to find affordable housing. We have people at the Rescue Mission who are working, saving their money, have enough money to move out, but they can't find a place to rent that fits their budget. We have people, veterans in particular, that have a voucher.
They have a voucher for work, and Larry, you know all about this.
Well, yeah, because even so, we've done a lot of stories and a lot of reports about how much, and I really don't want to make this sound like we're trying to blame any property owners or anybody who owns apartments or whatever.
You can blame
else.
Reverend Bill.
No. There's no blame when the economy is growing and it's booming and it's moving forward. That there's natural problems that will arise. And there's been some times where we had like an abundance of apartments. It hasn't been in recent times, but we've had abundance of apartments, and those folks have had to reduce the rents. It's only natural that they're going to increase those rents when there's a supply and demand issue. And it is a problem right now, and they're being built. I mean, even around where I live, around my home, there's apartments that are being built, condominiums that are being built,
but they're not
places
cheap.
that are going to be rented. They're not.
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap. And if we do get a surplus in there, the price probably will come down. But you're talking about all the problems that it creates in the interim. And it really is a huge issue in the interim because there are people out there like the Reverend's talking about. They actually have the money. They've saved the money. They are working. They're ready to move out of the rescue mission, but it's just a matter of where would they go.
And that's where your donations come in, BoiseRM.org. More details at KIDOTalkRadio.com.
Well, and we appreciate all the help, Kevin. Appreciate you being here this week, bringing the show live to Walmart on Garrity and Nampa, and getting people, helping people become aware of all the issues that are going on that relate to what we do at the Rescue Mission. We do have transitional housing, but not very much of it for the numbers of people that need a place to stay in the interim between being able to move out of the mission and rent, and finding that place to rent. And they're all full. We never have a vacancy in our transitional units. As soon as someone moves out, someone else moves in. But that's just a small stopgap for a few people. And in the bigger picture, we really need to see some more affordable housing come to the Valley.
Is there a limited amount of time, Reverend, that they can actually stay in that transitional housing, or you just try to wait until they can move on to something else?
Now, wait a minute, Larry. I asked the questions.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Is it a limited amount of time?
Thank you, Kevin. That was brilliant.
Kevin, that's an astute question. The truth is that we make every one of our programs as personal as we can. And in the case of folks in transition, as long as they're continuing to, follow case management guidelines, save their money, and keep looking and keep knocking on doors and keep filling out applications, we're going to stand with them and keep them under roof. But there's another issue. To apply for a rental these days, you got to put up some money to just do an application. And for a lot of our folks, that's a big deal. To take $20 to $50 right off the bat to put on an application that then might get rejected, and they don't get their $20 or $50 back. Yeah. So it's a really, really tough situation for folks right now.
I would agree. I mean, and even so, even if you do get accepted, a lot of times they want first and last month's rent. They want a deposit. And of course, if you have a pet,
don't have a pet.
That's. I mean, no offense to pets. I mean, I raise a lot of money for organizations that help pets, and help find forever homes for pets too. And so that really becomes an issue if you're a renter, because it just takes that price almost out of sight.
Yeah. And that's what we're helping others with through this week and throughout the summer. Won't you help us help the Boise Rescue Mission, boiserm.org, or be part of the Penny Patrol? We'd love to see you at the Nampa, Walmart, Garrity, and Franklin till Saturday night at 6. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And remember, your pennies will be a part of our Great Penny Plunge Tuesday the 28th at Cap Ed Credit Union on Overland and Meridian. We're going to be there shooting a crazy video, hopefully having millions of pennies. It is day one of Miller's Mission. Reverend Bill joining us from the Boise Rescue Mission. And we're taking your phone calls about a lot of issues that matter to all of us. You have people going after the president. You have Mayor Pete last night getting a standing ovation at the town hall meeting from Fox News in New Hampshire and Claremont, New Hampshire. And I do want to remind you, I want to thank our partners, Team Mazda Subaru, the Boise Rescue Mission, Camping World, for allowing us to be here. We're collecting pennies. Look, people say a penny can't make a difference, but they're wrong. Just like those 1,000 points of light with our great friend President Bush, we need thousands of pennies of hope and change. Liberty Linda joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Liberty Linda, I wish you were here. Good morning.
Good morning. I wish I were there too, Kevin. You've got the whole gang there this morning, though.
Well, we the gang's all here.
I know it. Anyway, I have a suggestion for your listeners. You talk about rolling right along. I was thinking that they could go ahead and bring their pennies already enrolled. And they can, it's always good you can bring currency as well. Anything helps. Even if you bring in a nickel, even if you bring in anything, it all adds up. And so anyway, it's just an amazing job, that they do at the rescue mission. They not only feed a person, they put a light in their heart that shines for the rest of their lives. And,
and you've been here. You've been here for many years, cheering people on and donating yourself.
Well, little I can donate, but I know that every little bit helps. So anything, your listeners, anything they bring in, even if it's a couple of pennies, even if it's a roll of pennies, it all adds up, and it helps those people that come in those doors. Like the young lady with the child this morning. What a difference it has made in her life and her little child. It's such heartwarming stories that we hear on your show, and these people really exist. They're there in the area, and they need the help. And with the rent prices going up as they are, anyway, Kevin, you are part of that light that goes into the people's hearts because of the things you do there. And thanks for all the guys who are being this morning, helping as well. We love hearing from them. Anyway.
Well, we thank you for listening. Without the listeners, we couldn't do this, and it is a partnership, and we're all in this together. And, as God says, blessed are the children. That's why you can't get mad at them when they're screaming in church all the time. It's kind of hypocritical because Jesus loves the kids. Now, if he didn't love the kids, it'd be different. But, I always remember that. I got a kid next to me going, and I'm going, and then I go, oh, nope, Lord says you got to love the kids.
That's
and,
right.
they bring back such innocence in us, do they not, Liberty Linda, when we think of the beautiness of a child and the innocence and, wishing that we could, protect them from all of life's challenges. And no greater challenge than we're talking about food and shelter and showing them the way of God.
Absolutely. And when I hear a child crying, in the chapel, I think I'd rather they be here and crying because the parents are showing them, the right thing to do. And so I always get happy if I hear a child cry. It always gives me happiness because they're in the right place. So I feel the same way you do, Kevin. How about that?
All right. God bless, Liberty Linda.
Well, you as well, Kevin, and everyone there helping you. Hi, Kelsey. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. Kelsey says hello, and my mom says hello. Liberty Linda, God bless. We love you.
We love you. Okay. Bye-bye. All
right. See? It's all about hope, love, and understanding. And Donald Trump. First, traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Robin in for Dave. Good morning, Robin. And I'm Kevin Miller. More coming up next. Miller's Mission continues. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And here we are once again. We're here till Saturday at 6. We have some more donations here. Let's see if we can hear that. More pennies coming in for the Penny Patrol. Trust me, folks, it's not sound effects.
The jar runneth over.
The jar runneth over. Thank you for the play-by-play. If you're just tuning in, what we're doing here is asking you to make change for change. Penny Patrol, pennies from heaven. And, of course, so many people have come by, but we have a long way to go. Reverend Bill, funding the summer programs. It's great that we're raising awareness, but we need so much more help this week and throughout the summer.
We really do, Kevin, and I want to say thanks again to you and all your listeners and folks coming by to help out. But, we had a really dry holiday season this year for the first time ever, and income was down significantly, and we're recovering from that. We've recovered from that, really, but it left us at a place where every month it's really, really important that we raise as much as we can in order to keep everything moving forward.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the new tax codes and charitable giving. You have seen an impact when we're talking about the new tax codes.
I think we have. It's impossible to know for sure, but I think the new tax codes and then the way the market was all over the place, the stock market at the end of last year, I think both of those things together really, really compounded to come against us. But God is there and God is good. We prayed, we worked hard, and folks like you and others in the community have stepped up, and we're back on track. But we need to keep it going.
We do, and coming up, we're going to hear from our friend Lawrence Gebert. But first, we have our friends from Mission Aviation Fellowship here who has donated, and they continue to donate.
I love those guys.
And we're not just talking about the incredible work they do overseas, but we're talking about donating here to the Treasure Valley. So thank you once again.
Good morning.
Good morning to the listening audience.
Thanks. We're glad to be here. We're glad to be in Nampa, and we're glad to help Pastor Bill out with the Boise Rescue Mission. We know what good work they do in our community, and it's important. Like we do work overseas in similar kinds of communities, the important work that Bill's doing here is huge. There's no way to duplicate it, and I'm just glad that we can help out in any way that we can here locally.
For people that aren't familiar with your ministry,
Mission Aviation Fellowship, we serve in countries around about 17 countries around the world. We do flights. We serve isolated people all over the world, bringing medical help and bringing the gospel to those that want to know Jesus Christ.
And you've been in some scary places.
We have. We are dealing right now in Mozambique with the two cyclones that they've had, the two typhoons that have come through there. We're dealing with helping out with Ebola in the East Congo.
And this is in Nampa.
Yes, we are based at Nampa Airport. The world headquarters for Mission Aviation Fellowship is based at Nampa Airport.
Helping
So
people with typhoons, getting through typhoons and all that
disaster
stuff.
relief, helping people out, people in isolated areas all around the world. That's what we do. We do it with small planes, and we train here in Nampa.
Well, you talk about needing God's word now more than ever.
Indeed. And, you know, I love Mission Aviation Fellowship. I remember when you all moved here, our good friend David Bills was involved in building your facility, and Dave's done work for us. But, you know, the thing I love the most about the MAF is just like Boise Rescue Mission, they're actually meeting tangible needs here, in this case, around the world. But at the same time, the motivation is to bring the good news of Jesus and to show the love of Jesus by meeting the needs of people that just been through a typhoon. And if they have opportunity, like we do every night in chapel, to share the good news, the truth of the good news that Jesus is the Lord. And they do all of this with hard work, raising their own money, and dedication to the task. It's a beautiful organization, and we're so glad that we share a community with MAF.
For people that want more information, what can they do?
You can come out to Nampa Airport to come on tours. We do tours every day at 9:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or they can go on the website, maf.org, and check it out. They can donate through there if they want. Come out and visit, though. I do tours on Thursday morning at 9:30.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do want to thank so many people that have come out, but we have a long way to go. And, you know, again, people say, well, pennies can't make a difference. You can make a difference. You shall make a difference here on KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Once again, joined by the Reverend Bill Roscoe, also Larry Gebert joining us from Channel 7, who has done so much charitable work throughout the area. Reverend Bill, let's talk a little bit about, you know, the impact that the Boise Rescue Mission has, not only throughout Boise, but in Canyon County.
Well, as you know, Kevin, we've been in Nampa for a long, long time with the men's shelter, and about 5-6 years ago, we opened the women and children's shelter. And the next big thing in the Nampa community will be the Recovery Lodge. We expect to open the Recovery Lodge sometime in July, probably mid-July. We'll have a public announcement about that on your show very soon. That will serve.
Well, don't say that in front of Larry.
Well, Larry will be there.
Larry likes the scoops.
Larry will be
it's
there.
okay. I understand.
Larry's invited, but the truth of the matter is every day we're serving people who are being dropped off in a taxi cab, having just left the hospital, some after major surgery, some after prolonged illness, all of them needing a little more attention and special care than what we're able to give in a 125-bed dorm. So we're opening this shelter, a smaller shelter, maximum capacity about 40 people, and we're going to serve people, exclusively serve people, homeless people, who are being discharged from the hospital and have nowhere to go for recovery except to the rescue mission or to the street. And by doing this, we're going to be able to help people recover faster, better, and reduce the numbers of callbacks to the emergency room and to the hospital. So it's going to be a beautiful part of our ministry coming up soon. And again, we need support. We're stepping out in faith as we always do. We're going to do this, and we're going to trust that God's going to stir people up to give and to volunteer and to help us get that job done.
Oh, well, I think it's great. I mean, it's obviously it's needed. I wished it was like 10 times the size because we could fill that. I know we could.
Yeah, we could.
And I wish the rescue mission could have larger facilities and more staff and be able to handle more needs, because it's always going to be there. It never goes away. And if anything, it grows.
It does grow. And in this case, these are folks that we've always served. You know, they're showing up at the hospital in a wheelchair with having just lost their leg. And they're showing up at the rescue mission with tubes and going in and out of their bodies and with oxygen tanks and all of that. And as I said, we're serving those people, and we're doing the best we can in that large shelter environment. But in this case, it's going to be a quieter, cleaner, less populated place, fewer people in the building, staff to take care of the people for case management. And the good news is, as we expected and as we had hoped for, all the hospitals are on board. Salser, St. Luke's, and St. Al's are all on board with us. They're all contributing to the
Salzer
project.
Medical Group.
Yes, they are. Yes, we just had a great meeting with our friend Tommy Alquist.
Salzer, you ever heard of them?
Well, yeah, I have. As a matter of fact, I know Tommy Alquist.
You know Tommy
really
Alquist?
Well, too. Well, yeah, I've met him.
You know Tommy Alquist?
I love Tommy.
Boy, you guys all know Tommy Alquist. Huh?
Well, we do, but the point is I mean, yeah, he ran a campaign for governor.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, Larry, to interrupt. Tommy Alquist ran for governor.
He ran for governor.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
He ran as a Republican. You know that. Cannot deny that. No plausible deniability. No, but I mean, and that was an interesting campaign. But getting away from that, I mean, he's been a strong businessman. He was an emergency room physician for a number of years.
Yeah.
He's a well-known businessman. But what a lot of people don't realize is how much he actually gives to the community. And now that he's taken over, or is a part of the group that has taken over Salzer Medical, that actually just falls right in line with helping and understanding and knowing where the needs are, and that's why he's there.
That's
for
right.
all of that. And that's, and it's just, it speaks well when you have a business person who's philanthropic and wants to give back. I think that's one of the major strengths that we have here in the Valley. We have people who give all the time. And you're right about every penny making a difference, but sometimes these business people who are philanthropic and recognize the needs and just automatically will help out.
I think
Or
it
if
drop
they get
off a truckload of
contacted.
pennies or a
Sometimes,
cement
yeah,
truck full
yeah,
of
they
pennies.
could.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Yeah, they don't. They can drop off a check, a piece of paper that could equal an awful lot of those pennies too. It's easier to carry to the bank.
I need the exercise, Larry.
I didn't say that.
I know I did, though.
Okay.
And we had Dave Petzo on this morning, and there's another example of a businessman who is extremely generous and very concerned. And I think that's the other point to make, is that the folks in this community who are in business and are prospering, they want to help people that are less fortunate than themselves. They want to see a ministry like the Rescue Mission prosper because, number one, they care, they're compassionate. Number two, they realize that the work that we're doing is producing people who are going to become part of the community in the whole sense. They're going to be working, they're going to be contributing, they're going to be going to church and giving a tithe to church and doing all the things that all of us get to do and have done for a long time. I just appreciate so much the most generous community on the earth, and it's right here where we're sitting today.
Well, you mentioned earlier, too, and Kevin asked a question about, the changes in the tax laws and things like that and how it has had an impact. And I encourage people to remember that they're making a donation. And I firmly believe that people don't go out there and say, oh, I need a tax deduction, so I'm going to make a donation. It's the other way around. I think they see the need. They recognize the need. Yes, when the tax laws changed, it may have made them rethink some of that a little bit, and it shouldn't. You should just still give to the organizations you believe in, the work that's being done, the help that's being satisfied, the people who are being cared for, based on the fact that that organization, like the Rescue Mission or whoever else, is doing that work for those individuals and really for you, because you would yourself if you just had the time. You would go out there and you would do that. We don't. We have families. We have lives. We make donations so that these things continue to happen. And yes, they changed the tax laws, and it did definitely change the charitable donations. But I can honestly say I don't ever remember ever, and my wife and I, we make a lot of donations. I don't think we've ever sat down and said, okay, how can we get the best tax deduction for this?
Well,
that's not the point.
I'm with you, but it has impacted.
It has. I recognize that.
Charitable giving. Not everybody is Larry.
But
I wish I were you, Larry.
No, but I mean, but it shouldn't really make a difference.
You're right.
The organization you give to is the one that you look at, that you believe in what they're doing, and I think that all those individuals who do, and you talk about organizations that talk about making sure that the dollars are being spent the right way, there's safeguards everywhere. United Way is one of the great ones that does that makes sure that the donations that are being made are really going to help meet the people. You're open. Your books are open. If I wanted to go to the Rescue Mission, I want to see how you're spending money, you're going to show me. And not just because I'm me, Larry Gebbert. I could be anybody. I could be Kevin Miller, for crying
That's
out
right.
loud.
Yeah,
and
even
you would
Miller.
show that person too. But I mean, you would show anybody who asked, that was concerned about that, because and that's what and as long as we know that the money is going to the right place, we should just take a look at the need that we want to help.
And that's where it comes in. More with Larry Gebbert, more with Reverend Bill, and more with you. We're going to be here all day tonight till 7. I'll be living here thanks to Camping World, and it's Saturday at 6. We would love your pennies, your checks, your donations. So many of you stop by. Let's make this the best Miller's Mission Spring Edition ever. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Do want to thank our friend Larry Gebbert. He's back on the air. Hopefully we'll see him. I want to thank certainly our friends at Channel 7 for once again being out here. People that have moved to Idaho or have heard of Idaho, they always say it's like what America used to be or could be again. And here we have our friends at Channel 7 that, as it's thunderstorming yesterday, go, boy, I hope Larry Legend's going to make it. And there they were, right here, ready to go, and really broadcasting, promoting, sharing the message of our friends in need, and making a difference here at the Boise Rescue Mission. It's fun to be here. It's a great time. We got to get a lot of great deals at Walmart, but to have great friends in the media like our friends at Channel 7, truly a blessing.
Larry exemplifies, and Kevin Miller exemplify what it means to be a community organization in terms of broadcasts, in terms of television news. You guys, your outfits really exemplify what it means to be community. Because if someone wants to know what's going on in this valley, turn on one or the other of these networks, and you're going to find out. Because you people are involved. Here you are again, sitting in a tent at Walmart. Here's Larry at 4 o'clock in the morning, putting up his antenna on his truck out in the pouring rain. Because they care about you, care about this community, and you want to make a difference in this community. And that's what I love about it.
Well, so many times, and by the way, folks, BoiseRM.org for more information. KIDOTalkRadio.com, we look at the politicians. For years we've been talking about repealing the grocery tax. And for our friends in elected office, we have not forgotten about you. We will be ready for you to remind your constituents about your dropping the ball on repealing the repressive grocery tax. We addressed that with the governor. That'll be on Idaho Insights this week. We'll talk a little bit more about our back and forth with him, Governor Little. But, we talk about making a difference. And those people that have been blessed as parents and grandparents, you want what's best for kids. And, Reverend Bill, whether your kid's 2 or 22, they're always your kid or your grandkid.
Well, I know that very, very well since I got kids in their 40s now, and they're still my kids, for better or for worse. But anyway, you're right. You're right. And the truth of the matter is we do keep an eye. We keep an eye on the folks over on Capitol Hill in Boise as well, because there are things that are legislation that is going through there that really makes a big impact in the lives of the people that we serve. And you know me pretty well. You know my politics, and most people do. But I think there's a place for compassionate conservatism, and I think we really need to see a little more of that in the state of Idaho.
Well, and really when we're talking about what people can do, we've had young ladies come by already, young men come by, giving us what they have. And Liberty Linda earlier saying, I didn't have much to give, but I gave. And it goes back to the Bible, and the Lord talking about the poor giving.
The widow's mite.
Right, what they don't have,
yeah,
as opposed to people that have the opportunity to give. Regardless of where you are in life, you might see somebody on the corner and you go, by the grace of God, there go I. Or you might take a look at somebody who is, unfortunately, because of medical bills, been turned away. Or a young man by the name of Louis, on the drugs, lost all his family members, walking around Nampa, Idaho, looking for a place, and now he's found God, he's found a direction. So there are places that make a difference, and this is how you continue to support them, because you don't get government funding.
Not a nickel. It's all from the people. And I want to remind people that it's great to have corporate donors. It's great to have successful business people give us large gifts. But the small gift makes a big difference, and we count on those small gifts every single day. There's no such thing as a small gift. Bring in whatever you can, give whatever you can, because God knows what we need, and every day God's going to meet that need. And it might be the $5 that I give or you give. It might be the $10. It might be the $1.50. It might be 100 pennies. Whatever it is, God knows, and he meets our need through the giving of the people. Large gift, small gift makes no difference. Please just help.
The banks may not want the pennies, but we do.
Well, you're going to be diving and rolling in pennies next week.
We hope so. We've got a lot of pennies to figure out. Let's get you to work safely and on time. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Dave. Reverend Bill with us. Kelsey, quickly tell the little story about the skateboard, about the type of folks associated with the Boise Rescue Mission.
So we have a bunch of kiddos in our teen program, awesome kids, working really hard at changing their lives. And a couple of our programmers, graduates of the New Life program, came down and made a donation to buy him a new deck that he broke from his skateboard. And so we're excited about that.
Boy, people giving back.
That's right. They came down and gave out of their own pockets. So
that's what happens when you preach the gospel to the poor, Kevin. Not only do they prosper personally, but they prosper throughout the community.
And won't you help us prosper by making a difference? You're going to hear stories throughout the week, but these aren't fiction. These are fact. These are concrete. This is brick and mortar, making a difference in the lives of so many in the Treasure Valley. It's such a blessing to ask you to make a difference. By the way, big thanks to Team Mazda Subaru. Big thanks to Camping World, Boise Rescue Mission, and you for helping us along the way. Ray and I, great job. Rome, Logan, Timmy, Billy, Willie, we appreciate you. God bless everyone. We'll be here all day. Keep the faith.